Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're doing something a little different. We're actually jumping back, taking a quick time warp to 2020 to revisit a science fiction novel that, honestly, really left a mark. You know those books? The ones that are so good, they kind of mess you up for other books for a while. This is one of those. We are talking about Micaiah Johnson's debut novel, The Space Between Worlds.
Fantastic book.
It really is. And our mission today in this deep dive is basically to unpack why this book, which reviewer S. Zainab Williams called an all-time favorite, and a thrilling multiverse romp that gets deep, why it hits so hard.
Right. It's got that blend, doesn't it? The mystery, the sci-fi.
Yeah, it gives this memento-flavored intensity,
Yeah.
really grabs you.
And I think what makes it so compelling, beyond just the thrill of the plot itself, is how it really dives into some incredibly complex themes. It's not just an adventure.
No, not at all.
It's this really profound look at identity and social class and, how our origins shape us, even when you're talking about infinite realities.
That's perfectly put. So yeah, our aim here is to pull out the most powerful insights, the most surprising bits from the source material for you, our listener. We want you to walk away really captivated by what this book is doing.
Sounds good. Where do we start?
Okay, let's dive right into the core questions that really pull you into Cara's world. First off, why do her multiverse doppelgangers keep dying?
Yeah.
Like all the time.
Mm-hmm. That's the central hook, really.
Totally. And then what is the Eldridge Institute, this, shadowy group that's figured out multiverse travel? What are they really doing with all the data they're collecting?
Right. What's the end game there?
And maybe a bit more personally, but the reviewer definitely felt it. Why won't Cara and her handler Dell just admit their chemistry and, get it on?
Huh. Yeah, that simmer is definitely part of the page-turning quality. Those questions keep you glued.
They really do.
And it's pretty amazing how Johnson manages to weave this really nuanced story, juggling all these different worlds and timelines into something that feels, well, like a truly cinematic space adventure.
The world building is incredible.
Oh, totally. And the setting itself is practically a character. You got this stark contrast, right?
Huge contrast. On one hand, you have Wiley City, which is all sleek, hyper-modern, shiny.
Right, the picture of progress.
But then just outside, it's this desolate, almost like Wild West meets Mad Max kind of wasteland.
Yeah, exactly. And that's where the lower classes, including our main character, Cara, originally come from.
And that division isn't just scenery. It's fundamental to everything the book is exploring.
And Cara, she lives that divide, doesn't she? She's made this journey from the dust of the wastelands to becoming this important commodity at the Eldridge Institute back in Wiley City. But her job involves going back into danger, essentially. Traveling these multiverses, gathering data, which brings us to why she's so valuable, right? I mean, the book really digs into this. In a multiverse filled with versions of herself.
Yeah.
Almost all of her doppelgangers seem, fated to die young. They just don't last.
Yeah.
But this Cara, the main one we follow, she survives.
Against the odds.
Exactly. It's her tenacity, her survival instinct. That's what makes her unique and incredibly valuable to the Institute. They need people who can actually exist in these other worlds to access them.
Because the rule is you can't travel to a world where another version of you is still alive.
Precisely. So her survival paradoxically means most other worlds are closed off, unless her counterpart there is dead, which for Cara is almost always the case. It literally opens doors for the Institute.
Wow. Okay. But then, among all these, expected deaths of her other selves, there's one specific death, one particular kind of mysterious Cara death that catches her attention.
Yeah, that's the turning point.
It really is. It makes you start to wonder if there's, something more urgent and personal to be learned from her assignments.
Not just data collection anymore.
Right. And maybe the whole game afoot, as the reviewer puts it, has these massive, maybe catastrophic implications way beyond just her job or even her own life.
It definitely shifts things. And alongside all this multiverse mystery and danger, the book develops this really compelling emotional core.
You mean Cara and Dell?
Yeah, exactly. The chemistry between Cara and her handler, Dell, it's palpable right from the start. You feel that spark.
Oh, yeah. The banter is great.
It is. And that initial flirtation, it slowly, genuinely blossoms into, well, into romance. And that provides this crucial human anchor amidst all the, the high-stakes adventure and sci-fi concepts.
It really grounds it. But what elevates the book, I think, beyond even the great plot and the romance is the social commentary. It's woven in so deeply.
Absolutely. Cara's whole experience in Wiley City is this powerful symbol, isn't it?
Yeah. It shows that just because you're allowed to live in the fancy city, it doesn't mean you get the same privileges.
Right. It doesn't mean people forget where you came from or that they won't care. You're still marked by it.
And Cara herself, she can't forget. The book says the dust of the wasteland sticks to her. It's this constant reminder, almost physical.
It's visceral. And it's fascinating how Johnson integrates what the reviewer calls a hearty helping of commentary on class right into the fabric of the adventure.
It's not just like a side theme.
No, not at all. It's integral. It shapes the characters, their motivations, the conflicts they face, and exploring identity and belonging through that sharp lens of social class.
Yeah.
That's what really allows the book to get deep. It looks at way beyond just a fun sci-fi romp, though it is definitely also that.
Oh, for sure. It's thrilling. I mean, the reviewer wasn't kidding, calling it one of their most memorable science fiction reads of all time. High praise.
And deserved, I think.
Agreed. And here's some great news for you listening, if this sounds compelling. Once you finish The Space Between Worlds, Book 2, Those Beyond the Wall, is already out.
Oh, nice. No waiting years for the sequel.
Nope. You can just dive right into the next part of the story.
That's always a bonus.
Definitely. So just to kind of wrap up the core appeal here, The Space Between Worlds really delivers this incredible mix. You get a twisty, compelling multiverse mystery.
Keeps you guessing.
You get this really engaging, blossoming romance that adds heart.
Yeah, the emotional core.
And sharp, insightful social commentary on class and identity, all packaged in what our source rightly called a thrilling cinematic space adventure. It's just a really unique experience.
It truly is. Which brings us to maybe a final thought for you to chew on, something that stems directly from these themes.
Okay, let's hear it.
Well, if who you are is so deeply shaped by the place you come from and by the choices you end up making, what does that actually mean for your identity when there are infinite versions of you out there? Each existing in a slightly different reality, maybe making slightly different choices, coming from slightly different circumstances, and digging into that class element again. How much does social class in any of those realities truly define who you are or who you can ultimately become?
Wow. That's a lot to think about. Really gets to the heart of it, doesn't it? Identity across infinite possibilities.
It's one of the big questions the book leaves you with.
Powerful stuff. Well, we definitely encourage you to explore this fascinating deep dive further. Maybe pick up The Space Between Worlds and see for yourself. It's quite a journey.